Lockout tagout procedures. When doing maintenance or cleaning equipment, to keep yourself and others safe, you will need to de-energize the equipment and its power source first. This procedure is called lockout tagout. Lockout tagout is protection for workers to stop all stored hazardous energy contained within equipment such as pneumatic air, electricity, hydraulic pressure, steam, and other forms of stored energy while working on or around equipment. This may also include locking out a press lifting gate or doors of a cage surrounding equipment. These practices and procedures help safeguard employees from unexpected energization or startup of machinery. If these sources are not properly controlled, they can lead to workplace injuries or even fatalities. No employee is to perform lockout tagout without the proper training. Lockout tagout rules state 1 lock, 1 key, 1 tag per employee. No one should ever have an extra key for your lock. Only company supplied locks shall be used. Depending on the job, there may be more than one employee working on a piece of equipment or machinery. This is where a hasp will need to be used. This way, you may have holes for 5 workers' locks with a single hole left for another hasp if it's needed. Be sure that there is a tag with proper information attached to each employee's lock. You will have to be sure the tag has employee's name, time, and date. This is a form of communication to let people know what is happening and who is performing the task. Supervisors and employees may be subject to fines by the Ministry of Labor if you don't comply with the MOL lockout tagout guidelines. All workers must remove their locks in order to restart the equipment or machinery once maintenance is completed. Each employee will be responsible for removing their own lock. In a situation where a worker doesn't perform the proper lockout tagout procedures, this may be consideration for discipline. If an employee abandoned their lock, the first step is try to contact that employee. Here it will be determined what work was performed and is it safe to remove any locks or tooling. If contact of the employee wasn't able to be made, a risk assessment will be completed by a supervisor of that department with another skilled, competent employee/leader. With this situation, the lock may be removed by a supervisor once it's considered safe, but a lockout removal consent form must be filled out first. This form will contain who applied the lock, date, the equipment or machinery it was applied to, and the reason for applying. It will also list the name of the person who will be removing the lock, name, and contact info with the lock and tag number. The basic takeaway here is always perform the required lockout tagout procedures. In a situation where the employee who applied the lock wasn't able to be contacted and a proper risk assessment is not able to be completed, the lock will remain in place till the proper assessment can be made. To know where the isolation points are, you will need to refer to the attached lockout placard on equipment or machinery. This will include the location of energy, method, and how to lock out the energy source. With this information, you will now need to follow the 6 steps to lockout tagout. Let's go ahead and try these steps out on some equipment. Before performing any lockout tagout procedures, inform all employees and personnel that may be affected by these procedures. Here, we will be locking out calendar 1. Several other pieces of equipment that has similar processes will be cracker mill 1, strip mill 1 and 2. Step 1. Go to the calendar lockout station to retrieve your lock, key, and information tag to be filled out with your name, time, and date. There will only be 1 key, so remember to keep it on yourself and never share with anyone. Step 2. Power down machinery and remove any materials or tools. Step 3. Isolate and disconnect the machine or equipment from any source of energy. Step 4. With the energy source disconnected or isolated, you now may begin to lock out the equipment. Step 5. At this time, it's important to look at any remaining hazardous energy that might be stored within the machine. Step 6. Now an authorized employee will verify the machine has been properly isolated and de-energized. Work now can be completed. Now that the work is finished, we will remove our isolation point locks. As you have learned, you are responsible to remove your own lock. In case where a hasp was used, each worker will need to remove their own lock. This ensures that all workers are accounted for and not in any danger with restarting equipment and machinery. Once all locks are removed, you may remove the lock off the energy source. Now you will have to communicate with the employee are completed and equipment and machinery is ready for use. When it comes to press lifting gates and doors of cages behind presses, lockout tagout is also very important. It ensures that no workers will be left inside of the press while it is being closed. With lifting gates, you will need to slide the cover over the gates lifting up and down control panel and place your lock through the pinhole. Once again, if more than one worker is inside of the press, use a hasp to make space for each individual lock and information tag with the correct information. Once all work is complete, remove the lock and lower the gate to restore power back to the press control panel. You will also have to reset the press to be sure that it is able to rebuild pressure. With cage door locks, you will need to attach a red interlocking switch over the door latch with your lock to be sure to de-energize the press's control panel. This red insert will cover the sensor that restores power back to the control panel. Once again, don't give your key to anyone. With the press fully open and when it's safe to do so, unlock the cage door and apply the red insert. Once all work is finished, remove your lock and don't forget to reset the control panel. Now you will have to inform all employees and personnel in that work area that equipment and machinery is again ready for use.